but they are so focused on their own fights that they may not be aware of any predators approaching. And chatting to one of the guides from a neighboring lodge last night, he told me that he saw quarantine just meters away from two male impala doing this very same thing. They all thought quarantine was just about to make the final pounce, and then some monkeys started alarm calling nearby, very luckily for the impala, and that stopped the impala. They are aware that monkeys can help them, and that gave them that split-second warning just before he pounced. Interestingly enough, he already did have a different male impala already stashed up in a tree, and it is common to find leopard with male impala at this time of the year. It's certainly the easiest meal. And he tried to catch another one between heading off from his kill to go and have a drink. On his way back, he stumbled upon another great opportunity that he almost succeeded in. And imagine if he had have had two impala up two trees in the same area. Well, good morning everyone, and this is another good morning to all of you who may have only joined now. It is the normal start time, so you're not late, but there was such great action unfolding with these two male impala that we couldn't resist going live a little bit earlier to try and share with you the incredible battle that we've been witnessing this morning. I'm sure it's not long before they are going to clash horns again. They're just getting their breath back and taking some time to think about their next moves, I guess. We were alerted to their presence when we were at the vehicles this morning getting ready to head out, doing all the checks. We could hear their horns clashing. So they've been at it for a while now. I mean, at least an hour that we know of. And I wonder how much longer they're going to continue for. And I wonder who's going to be the winner. It is difficult to tell the two impala apart. Well, at least it is for me. But it may be worth all of us picking one of these and seeing who we think may come out on top. You'll notice they are darting out their tongue almost uncontrollably. The reason for this is because they will process smell at this time of the year, and smell and scent will be a very important part of what's going on now. The smell of females in season, the smell of these other males also, with all their testosterone and pheromones being released, and that tail wagging, as well as wagging another appendage between their legs, are all very typical signs of male impala that are in full swing, full rutting swing. There was actually a third male impala almost refereeing this bout a little bit earlier. I'm not sure where he's gone. And again, I just find it so interesting how these two have ended up having their own little debate here. And that third male, obviously, for some reason, doesn't feel the need to compete with these two. Maybe they've already established that he's not a threat, and it's just these two now trying to determine who's boss. What's also interesting is that there's no females around, so I'm I'm not sure what these two males are fighting for. They often do, well I do, they often fight for patches of land initially, even if there may be no females around. They need to establish their property, so to speak, and then once they've established a patch of turf that is theirs, they can try and convince some ladies to stay on it. It's a beautiful morning, and you'll notice it's overcast. Usually now the sun would be peeking over the horizon, but it's cloudy, and because of the cloud cover it's a lot warmer than normal, because the cloud has had a blanketing effect, keeping all the warmth in the lower atmosphere. So not nearly as cold as yesterday, and really looking forward to this morning's drive. It's my last drive before I head off on leave for a few days. So always sad to leave, but looking forward to a break. And the good news is Brent will be back to fill in while I'm gone. And just to let all of you know, Mark and VM are out on the other vehicle. It's Brian and myself. And I believe it was on the Juma waterhole cam, or it could have just been on another WildEarth safari, just like the one all of you are on today. Millie's asking me whether I've ever seen impala who've entangled their horns or locked horns and actually couldn't free them. And I haven't actually seen it with impala firsthand. I've seen footage of it, but I have seen it with kudu and buffalo. So really interesting though that Millie said she has seen impala who had their horns locked for many, many hours, but it sounds like they managed to untangle them, which is great. Otherwise you could imagine it would be a very slow and uncomfortable way to go, being stuck with your enemy by the head. And it does happen. I found kudu with interlocked horns, a skeleton. I mean, lions had even fed on them. The whole carcass had been torn apart, but the two skulls were still joined at the horns. And the same thing can also happen with buffalo and evidently impala too. What I've also seen, Millie, is on two different occasions on walking safaris I've come across carcasses of impala that had been killed by other impala during the rut. There was no predator in sight, and all we could see were puncture wounds from the horns. So occasionally these fights can even end in death. And as we went live a little bit earlier this morning, a little bit earlier than normal shall I say, the one impala was certainly in a very, very dangerous scenario. It had a horn up against its throat, and at any stage that horn could have punctured into its throat and possibly severed an artery or vein. And forwards and toing and froing will only last so long, and then one of them is going to make a move. And be ready, because they are lightning fast. And I don't think it's much longer before we see some more action. Well, good morning, Lisa Osborne, and welcome on board with us. Lisa has mentioned that she thinks the one on the left is more dominant. And it certainly appears that way. The one on the right does more backing up than going forward. Now, that could possibly just be its style. I guess if you equate this to humans, some boxers will shy away and dance around the ring until the opportune moment, when only then will they strike forward. And maybe we could assume the same thing for these impala. What have they seen? What have they heard? There's a bunch of students going for a walk, so that doesn't bode too well for us. But I think these impala are going to be so caught up in their own fighting, and this is interesting to see because, like with predators in the area, they are oblivious to a bunch of people taking a walk past them. And like I said, there are students out from America who are here doing some really wonderful training and assessments. Here they go. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, and this is why they can get themselves in trouble. Even though there's a potential threat nearby, they are only concerned about their fight. Wouldn't it be nice to be going on a walk through this wilderness area this morning? Lucky people. But a really, really great example of how these impala are so caught up, so focused on their own battle here, that the only time we've seen them lock horns is when there were people nearby. Now I've just heard another impala making its rutting call. What's going to happen here next? Are they going to... And I wonder if this one was victorious. The other one certainly did seem to back off and run away, but oh, here we go. I'm just going to turn the vehicle around. There's another impala that's coming into the fray here, and what is going to happen? What shall happen next? Just trying to keep an eye on where the other one went so we can make sure we know what's going on. But I think for now, let's focus on these two. Like I said, there were 3 around earlier. Look at how this one's walking with his tail erected, making himself look as big and mean as possible. Isn't that a bizarre noise, that gurgling, burping roar that they let out? Well, to them this is all making sense. To us it can be hard to understand, but it certainly does make for some great viewing. This individual's voice is almost hoarse. Good morning to Bulleret on Twitter, and welcome on board with us. Thanks so much also for sending your question through. Now, Bulleret is inquiring as to, let's say, I think it's almost fair to say that the individual that we last saw was the victor of that battle. Look, we could be wrong, but the other one certainly did run away. Now, will that other individual that seemingly lost this battle, will he wait until next year to try his luck again? I don't think so. I think that they will continue to try as much as they can. They may move into different areas and try their luck against other males. It does turn over. It's a rolling process. So no one male will be able to maintain a territory or a patch of turf where there is going to be a large herd of females. There's no ways he's going to be able to maintain both his territory, mate with all the females, chase all the other males away for a whole month. It's too tiring, and in all likelihood what's more realistic is that they only remain dominant for a few days and then lose condition, become too tight, and another male will come in, maybe up to a week. But there is going to be substitutes for the dominant males and the different herds, and I think they certainly will keep trying until eventually they get lucky. Obviously, things that will prevent them continuing non-stop action would be fatigue, so they may take some time to rest and relax, rethink their maneuvers,